Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing? I hope we had a good trading day today. So let's do a quick recap on the trade we took during New York trading session on US30. So starting the day, excuse me, starting the day, we had a bullish bias looking at yesterday's price action. You can see how the candle price started by pushing down, then we left a week strong momentum up. So what I was looking for today was for price to trade towards these highs here. Whilst this was my target, I also realized I had a solid whole number close to or just below the target which I actually wanted. So I was using 45,000 as my draw on liquidity or as a point where I was um hoping my price to actually get to. So having that bias on the daily, we jump to H4. See what H4 had for us. Right, so on the 4 hour, what you notice is this price action from yesterday, this push up here, and after that push, look to the left, marking these highs here. Like that, you see that price actually came and stayed above that level. So again, as much as price might have pushed a little bit lower, I was just looking at that zone as a broken resistance, which was now a support zone. So jumping to H1. Let's break this down. Jumping to H1. Okay, so this is our timing. This is on 16:30. You can see even from yesterday's setup. If you watched our session, I spoke about this. So today, same thing. Price was actually right on the 13 EMA after bouncing off that H4 zone which we had. So you can see here we're right on the 13. So I was basically looking for price to continue pushing up. So some might actually use a fib on this particular setup. So if you're looking for a buy, you just want to map the last impulsive move you have. Then when price starts to retrace, you want to wait for an aimable candle, mainly a doji, a bullish engulfing, a pin bar, or an inside bar. So here we have this nice inside bar there. You could have still traded a breakout here if you understand how to read price action that way. So for me today, I didn't use the fib. So I'm just going to quickly remove it. So from the 13 EMA, we now jump to, on H1, we now jump to M15. So on M15, when price open, I'm going to talk about M15. So let me move this line a bit so that you don't get confused. All right. So my setup initially started, excuse me, started at the top here, but I'll show you when we go to the 3 minutes. So what I realized is we're approaching 430, which was this candle here. Right. So as we're approaching 430, price actually gave this fair value gap. Then they pushed down into it, and initially it looked like they were rejecting that fair value gap. So if you notice on my results or on my trade which was running, I initially had a buy right in here. As this candle started to push up, at some point it was green. So I had a buy and a stop loss just below. I'm not sure if it was just below this zone or it was outside here, but price actually started to trickle down and it actually took me out. So when price took me out, my points of interest remained the same. This imbalance or this fair value gap which you see here, it remained the same. So I wanted to see, for me to actually consider a sell, I wanted to see price come down and stay below. Right. So what I noticed is after 16:30, which is the stock market open, price actually started to push up after this week. So I considered this week a stop hunt or a liquidity sweep, especially after seeing these two equal lows. So I consider this a liquidity sweep, and my bias I remain the same on the buy setup which I initially had. So I ended up jumping back into that trade. So going to M3, which is my entry time frame, that's where it's going to be a little bit clearer. Okay, so when we come to M3, this risk to reward tool I've just moved it a little, but you guys, you can just watch. I'll drop a link on the description. You can just watch. I did a little clip of the actual setup which I had in the running trade. So 1630 came right here on this candle here. Right. And that candle was the one which tapped into that imbalance which you just mentioned. Right. So when price started to take off from that area, I had a buy. I saw this pin bar in here. I took a buy right here. So my initial setup, let me actually show you. It was exactly this. I'm just not quite sure where I had put my stop loss, whether it was below here or it was just below the fair value gap or just below the candle actually, because I don't quite remember where I put the stop loss. So what happened now is price then pushed down aggressively, took me out same time, right? So after price took me out, I realized that there was that those equal lows to my left, and this was a stop. And when price simply came back above that imbalance from M15, my bias remained the same. So when we came back to my entry, I simply executed a buy again, and this was my 100-point mark right here. So remember, if you're trading indices, we always aim to scale out or at least move your stop loss to break even when your price reaches 100 points. So you see that black line. Then in terms of TP, initially it was 1:3. It's right there. And the 45,000, you can see I had put a TP there. So when this second entry triggered, I adjusted my TP to get to 45,000 and I put that alert. You also see me highlight that alert on the link on the video, which I'm going to show below. So this was basically my setup. So the first trade took me out, but then I realized I was in just a little bit too early. So price took me out and I got back again in on the same setup, same trade, and price simply pushed about 200 points clean all the way to, if today's setup, it depends with your broker. Some brokers, the price go to 45,000. On other brokers, the price didn't get to 45,000. So again, it was still a successful trade, played out well. And I thought, let me just explain. So remember, as a side note, this is a free mentorship note. You guys, if you're trading, just make sure, figure out where your price is going for your session. If you feel like your price is expanding to the top side, showing you higher highs and higher lows, especially on smaller time frames, then you can execute the trade and look for buys. If your price is being delivered to the downside for that particular session, you can simply look for the lower lows, lower highs, and you can look to execute a sell. So here, price has got potential to still push up because remember, we are bouncing off yesterday's highs, which is a flip zone. We also back right to where we entered. So again, this price can still expand up. What would you want to see for you to actually get into this trade? So we already have a bias. We know where our price is going. It might now actually go and touch 45,000 on this particular broker. So we are still trading above the 13 EMA. We had a little wick on H1 there. Going to remove this vertical line, jump to M15 to see if we've got a retest of the 13 EMA. Right, so price is right on the 50, almost about the 13. So before I consider a buy on this particular setup, I want to see price at least close above the 13 EMA right here. And on M3, I want to see price sort of push up and give a retracement back into the 13 EMA for me to actually consider a buy. But for today, we are already done. This is just for someone who's actually coming to the charts right now and looking for a setup. So if you want to take a buy, what you want to wait for is price to first give an impulsive move up to actually show that they're pushing. That means when M3 will be getting that close above the 13, then you want to wait for a small pullback back into the 13. Then if you get a candlestick, which you look for here, then you can actually take your buy. But if price does not do that, then you know there's no setup. But otherwise, the setup we had played out, and I'm going to paste the running trade on the description. I'm just going to drop a link. It's actually on the shorts. If you check out the shorts videos, it's actually there. I think it's the only short video posted today. So I'll just still drop the link for you guys so that you can just check it out. So it was a perfect trade for today. One loss, one win, ended the day net positive. So if these videos are helping, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please do subscribe. If the videos are helping you in any way, please do subscribe, share, like, comment. Let us know what you traded, if you took any trade at all. Let us know what session you trade. Did you trade in the morning? Did you trade in the afternoon? Let us know also what part of the world you're trading from. And let's just grow as a community this 2025. So if you watched up until the end, thank you so much for joining. Let me see. We had a setup. Sorry guys. Before we close off, we had a setup on gold. Gold was pushing up since morning. It will show just now. Okay, so this is the setup I shared. I did not execute on this trade, but this is the only entry I saw. So price was pushing up again from 3 p.m. GMT plus 2 when New York opened. You can see price is just creating higher highs, higher lows. So when price came back to the 13, so let's mark 1630, which is this stock market open. It was this candle here. So price retraced back into an OB, which was right here. Then from there, we also broke another order block here and came back and closed about the 13. So that was my entry trigger, considering that I'm already bullish for the day. So if I was looking at this for an entry or trading it actively, I would have entered here. Although I shared this view with the guys in the group, and I mentioned once your price moves to halfway, you want to move your stop loss from here to your entry, so that you trade or your trade runs risk free. So those trading gold, I hope your trade is going well, and I hope you're just trailing your profits. So I think the setup is a 1:3 risk to reward ratio. It has reached halfway, so I believe you guys are trailing, or you guys have scaled out or taken partials, or at least moved your stop loss to break even. Yeah, so that's it for today, guys. If you watched until the end, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good trading.